Hi guys, I'm Marsha. Welcome back to my channel. If you watched my last video, I did a houseplant tour of the plants at my salon, and I showed you this philodendron Brasil that I had brought from my house. I'm going to propagate it today, and I figured I would bring you along for that. And then I have this little one that I've had at my salon for a little while. It was an original propagation from this bigger plant. This bigger plant was in a 4-inch pot whenever I bought it, and it had a few vines on it, and I took enough cuttings off of it to be able to get this little plant. So I'm going to take some cuttings off of this today, as well as take some cuttings off of my big plant. Now, I've got I just used a pair of scissors, and I'm going to cut the vines, and I'll show you how I water propagate the philodendron Brasil. The first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to take cuttings off of my big philodendron, and I will take cuttings off of my little one later. I'm going to decide, I've got this big vine here, so I'm going to decide how far back I'm going to cut it. And I usually do that by following the vine all the way back, and I decide from there based on how many leaves the particular vine has on it. And this vine has, it looks like 3 leaves that I want to leave on it. So if you can see, I'm going to cut it right here, which is going to leave a little bit of the vine. And I'm going to cut it close to this leaf, if you can see, and just cut it off like that. And then I'm going to cut each individual leaf is going to be a cutting. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut. See if you can see. I'm going to cut this so that it has just a little bit of the vine left on each leaf. So I'm going to cut it here, and then I'm going to cut it here. So you can see I have it pretty close to the leaf. And I'm going to do that with each leaf and only leave a little bit of the vine. And then whenever I get a whole bunch of them, I'm going to go ahead and put them in these cut off water bottles that I like to use for propagation. So I'm going to go ahead and hurry up and cut a bunch of these. Usually I cut the leaf off of the vine first, and then I'll trim. If the piece is fairly long, if there's a lot of space between the leaves, I'll cut the extra off and just leave a small piece of the vine. You don't need all of that vine whenever you're propagating, because your root, if you look at it, hopefully you'll be able to see it. There's this little node right here on the vine, and that's where your root is going to develop. And you just need the little leaf for photosynthesis. And it won't take too long, probably about, these root fairly quickly, so probably about a week. I would say 2 at the most. And they will have a start at getting roots. It takes a little while for a good healthy root system to develop, but they will start developing roots fairly quickly. Normally what I like to do whenever I'm doing these is I like to put around 10 or 12 leaves in my water bottle. I used to do just a piece of the vine and root that, and then whenever I would pot it up, I would wonder why the ones that I bought at the store were so thick. And then I realized, actually after watching a few videos of people propagating golden pothos, that I was doing it all wrong. I should have been cutting the individual leaves and propagating it that way, and not just cutting the vine and putting the whole vine in my vessel, which is a water bottle that I cut off. And then when I first started cutting the individual leaves, I would do 9 leaves in each cup. And that's a pretty decent amount, but I realized that if I did 10 to 12 in each cup, when I pot it up, it looks more full. And that's really what you want. You want a nice full plant. You don't want something that's all sparse and spindly looking. So I'm almost done cutting this first vine. It doesn't take too long to do this. Just a few more leaves. Now this leaf is damaged, and I'm still going to try propagating it. It might wilt and die off, and it might grow roots. You don't know unless you try. So, you know, there are a lot of different ways to get the same result. A lot of people like to propagate in soil. I enjoy the water because I like to watch the roots grow. It's very satisfying to see the progress. I'm down to the last couple of leaves now, and I'm going to show you what I like to do. A lot of people, I've heard say that they don't like to use the tips for propagation, but I find that I have pretty good success with them. So I like to cut them, and I'll go ahead and put them in the container as an extra. So if I decide I'm going to do 10 in it and I have this little tip, I'll just go ahead and put it in as an extra. If it makes it and grows roots, that's great. If it doesn't, I'm still going to have a full container when I pot it up into, I start with 4-inch pots. So when I pot it up into a 4-inch pot, I'll still have plenty of little plants in the pot. So now I've got all of these cut. I'm going to start putting them in my water. Go ahead and pull one of these over here. And I have it fairly full, you can see. And I just start putting them in, and I keep track of how many I put in there. And you can see that I've got quite a few in here. And I should be able to fit 10 at least. So we'll go ahead and we'll do this. Oops. I don't want to do that. Try to get it to hang over the side. and not have the leaf down in the water. Go ahead and put this one in, and then we'll take this little top and we'll put it in there too, and hopefully it will grow. Okay, so now I have some leftovers from that vine, and I'm going to go ahead and cut another vine. And I've got a fairly long vine on here. I don't know if I'm going to cut all the vines off of this plant. I might leave the couple on here that are on the shorter side. So I know I'm going to at least do this one other long vine. And I try to work it out so that I have the exact number that I want, or pretty close to the exact number that I want to propagate. So like I did with that last one, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to see this vine. It doesn't have a leaf down in there at the base of it, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut it and leave it with 3 leaves. If you can see, there's Now, a lot of people say that you have to change the water frequently with your water propagations, and I'm going to be honest with you, I never change the water in my water propagations, and I've had some sit on my wall here at the salon for a year before potting them up, and I haven't had any problems. I don't use bottled water. I use city water. Sometimes the city water here where I'm at smells like chlorine. It smells like a swimming pool when you turn the water on. And I've done tours of my house plants here at my salon, and you can see that for the most part they're all pretty healthy looking. I do occasionally feed them with Miracle-Gro all-purpose plant food, nothing special. I just dilute it, and if I have propagations that have been, I just dropped that down in the water. If I have propagations that have been in water for a long time, sometimes I will give them a little shot of the diluted fertilizer, the diluted Miracle-Gro. So, I mean, it works for me. Do what works for you. I mean, play around with it. If you want to try propagating some of your plants, but you've been afraid to because you don't know how or whatever, just do it. Just give it a try. See what works for you. Try some in water. Try some in soil. It's a lot of fun. And in a few weeks, I will have roots on these, and I'll have some more of these beautiful philodendron Brasil. Now this one here, this little one, I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece of vine, and I'm going to stick a little piece of vine in each one of these propagations. Just because this has been drying out rather quickly, and I'm going to eventually pot it up into the pot that the mother plant is in, but I have to up pot the mother plant first. And I do have a hanging basket at home that I'm planning on using for the mother plant. But until I get that done, I'm going to just take a few cuttings off of this, and I'm going to hopefully not have to water it as frequently. So I'm just going to cut, if you can see, this vine is one of the longer ones. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves. and I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in my little cup here. Now that is going to take this up to 14 cuttings in this cup, and that won't hurt. It'll be a really nice full plant. I'm watching traffic out my window, guys. It's raining outside, and they're doing road construction on the street outside of my salon, and people just, yeah, traffic's backed up. People don't know what they're doing out there. Okay, so now I'm going to attack this little vine, and let me decide where I want to cut it. Let's see. I'm going to count the tip as one leaf, even though it has one unfurling and another one starting, but I'm going to count that as one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks like it might be a pretty good place to cut it right there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And I'm going to just put it down in my water. And I'm going to do that with this other one too, the first one that I did. Let me see which one of these. Well, guys, my phone is running out of memory. I use my phone to record, so I guess I'm going to have to cut this video a little bit short. Anyway, this is the philodendron Brasil cuttings. I have 3 of them here, and I had previously cut 2 other cut off water bottles. So that gives me 5. So when these root and I get them potted, I'll have 5 more philodendrons, and I'll put them in the 4-inch pots. And I'm going to get these up potted. I'll probably bring you along for that one. So if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and give the video a thumbs up.